the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our professional development and life coach, Miss Coach Barnes. Welcome back. How are you today?
I'm awesome in yourself. Thanks again for having me again.
Well, thank you for being here. Please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the one and only Coach Barnes, founder and CEO of Goldmine Thoughts, located in Brooklyn, New York, 55 Washington Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11201, in the heart of Brooklyn.
Woohoo! And the website is goldminethoughts.com, correct?
That is correct.
Well, excited to get to know you and your company here. Really, would you mind introducing yourself to everyone?
Sure. So I am, like I said, the founder and CEO of Goldmine Thoughts, leadership development and life coaching services, where we cater to elevating your mindset and polishing the crown within you to become your true potential self.
Beautiful. And now you're here today helping so many people, not just in Brooklyn, New York, but you're worldwide, right?
Correct. One great thing that came out of COVID is that I can do a lot of coaching virtually. So that opens up my cast of who I can service. So before, where I was just locally in Brooklyn. Now that everything is virtual, I can be all around the world within the comfort of my home.
That is wonderful. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? What got you started into this?
Awesome. So I would love to say, I've kind of been in the leadership role since forever. I don't want to date myself, right? But I've definitely been doing leadership training and development of individuals for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
For more than 20 years. I pivoted from in the educational setting as far as classrooms dealing with teachers to in leaders. I decided, you know what? There's a lot of coaches that are developing the professional you, but there's not that many that's developing the emotional you, or the traumatized you. And COVID really opened up my eyes, as well as others, to the eyes of how to the wave of so many emotions that people were trying to navigate through on their own. And it kind of didn't give us a guidebook, right?
Yeah, no, of course not.
Us in there, you left work March 12th thinking that you was coming back probably that Monday, and then we were shut down for 2 years, right? And then you had to try to navigate technology, being home all the time, not being able to separate your professional setting from home life setting, because home is in the next room, work is in one room, and a lot of people, including myself, were struggling with anxiety and depression just because everything was happening all at one time. So I figured, you know what would be a great thing to do to utilize my own experiences as well as my educational background to help others navigate through those emotions. And here we are, Goldmine Thoughts.
You brought me back to March 12th. Yes. I got laid off a job that day. Yeah, laid off. Wow. Like, go home and now this is crazy. We have to go. I'm like, what? We're laying everyone off. What? Like, it was such
mind-blowing, right?
Mind-blowing. Little kids at home. Now what? I'm going to do work from home. Wait, but how? And then you're gone. It's like the stress and anxiety of it all. You said it best, but you really brought me back there. Now, you have over 20 years experience in leadership development, correct? And also with staff training. Would you mind just elaborating on that a little bit for us too?
Sure. So like I said, my background is in education. So I spent 15 plus years in the educational field, whether being a substitute teacher to a permanent teacher, to a dean and a leader, admin leader at a school, where I had the lovely opportunity to not only elevate minds of children, but elevate minds of their family members, adults, the teachers, staff members, leadership teams, other leadership across the network and different other schools. So yes, my experience definitely afforded me an opportunity to utilize so many experiences and life experience, right? Not textbook experience, to help others understand and process what they're going through, but also to value them so that they feel seen and heard. And that's the major part of training, right? Because especially in the educational setting, teachers in the classroom, they have to manage 20 plus emotions, feelings, learning differences, learning styles. But then on top of that, each of those 20 or 20 plus kids come with parents, family members,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, then you have your colleagues, you have other teachers, you have friends. Like there's so many things that you're trying to navigate, not even getting the opportunity to think about your own luggage and baggage that you bring with you. You know, so I definitely spent a lot of time catering to the whole person and trying to not only offer the training as far as you need for the class, but identifying and navigating through your emotions so that you can be willing and open to receiving and understanding with somebody else's. So being able to empathetically listen to others.
Got it. And I know you want to talk a little about reconditioning mindsets. And clearly you do that, and creating effective boundaries and effective communication, loving yourself through trauma, and so much more. So you have the stage here, Coach Barnes. Let's begin.
Awesome. So as far as the recondition, I thought it would be great today if we focused on navigating through your emotions and limiting the amount of access that you give others to your emotions. You know, that is extremely important when in this time, in a virtual setting, in the world of COVID, in the world of, do I wear a mask? Do I not wear a mask? Trying to hold your own cough in because you're afraid that if you cough out loud, then people are going to move away from you. But then also, like, what happens to the individual who did get laid off back in March 12th of 2020
Yeah.
and still
hasn't
find someone's, find something else because they haven't had that opportunity because they've been at a job for 20 plus years, so they haven't polished their resume, or they have kids at home that they had to stay home with because they were learning virtually, schools were closed, or they have kids that are not at the age that can be tested to go to school. So it's like, what happens to carrying all of that, navigating through everything else in your own emotions, your own anxiety and depression, but then not having an opportunity to have an outlet to, right? So what happens is you often allow others too much access to your emotional state, which then leads into boundaries, right? Because you want to have someone that you can talk to, but not everyone has great advice. Not everybody has the advice that you need in the moment, and or are you willing and ready to hear the advice, receive the advice, and then turnkey it, or are you just wanting to vent? Right. So that goes into being able to limit the amount of access that you give others. Because if you are emotionally dumping on someone and they're making the whole situation about them, then you've exhausted yourself. You haven't come up with an action plan.
Yeah.
Now, you haven't come up with an action plan.
Yeah.
They haven't helped you. Now you're even more frustrated. Like, I'm the wrong person. Like, I'm still stuck. But you can also be teed off because they just unloaded their emotional baggage onto you. And now you're trying to navigate that for them as well as your own. So it's like being aware of where you are in the state of your emotion and limiting the access that you give others so that it doesn't overwhelm you, or you don't have an emotional breakdown or any type of other tendencies that can lead to adding on top of your anxiety or leading to depression. And I know that was a mouthful, but I can talk about reconditioning all day.
That's amazing. Wow. Because, it's also you have to want the help. You have to want to, all you need is that desire. But a lot of people get that anxiety and they're fearful and scared, but it's nothing to be scared of, right? You got to at least try. And a lot of, if you try, you don't succeed, at least you've tried. But you need someone like you in your corner to kind of like be your cheerleader, like your ringleader.
Your champion until you can be your own champion, right?
Yes,
and
I like that.
I talk about that a lot as well in the reconditioning. Learning how to be your own best friend and your own cheerleader. And that doesn't take away from the actual best friend or the team of people that support you. But when you can show up for yourself the way you show up for others, you're more willing to expand your mind and try new things. But unfortunately, what happens is anxiety hit and you don't know what you need often until you need it. So people can come to you and they will individual friends, family, like whoever your colleagues will come to you and they say like what do you need from me?